Hello everybody. This is our first lesson on Excel. Now in this lesson today they're going to go over several things about Excel, including resizing columns and various buttons on the ribbons. But I wanted to first cover about formulas because I think that's the most difficult part. This week we're going to learn about formulas, and next week we'll learn about functions, which are a built-in type of a formula like the sum function that make math much easier. But this week we're just going to concentrate on creating a formula from scratch. So first I just wanted to tell you a little bit about formulas. Now when you're doing a formula or a function in Excel, you always start it with the equal sign. The equal sign is the signal to Excel that you're about to do some arithmetic. So here I have some numbers in C1 to G1, and let's say I wanted to add C1 plus D1, those numbers. So to start, I'll just make a formula here in this cell C4. It doesn't matter where I do it. And I'm going to start with my equal sign. Now first I want to add the number in C1. I don't put the number, I put the cell reference. So I write C1, and then I put the plus sign for adding, and then I want to add it to D1. So now my formula is done. To complete it, I can hit the Enter key, I could hit Tab key, I could click out of that cell, or I could also, when you're doing a formula, there's a little green check mark that appears right to the left of the formula bar. See, this is the formula bar. And see this check mark? You'll only see it when you're in the middle of a formula. If you use that, your cursor will stay in the cell. So let's say this time I just hit Enter. Okay, now I see the answer. 8 plus 25 is 33. If I click back in this cell, I can see my formula up in the formula bar. If I wanted to do something more with that formula, I could edit it right up there, or I could double click in this cell that I was working in and get back into the formula mode. This time I'll just use this Enter sign up on next to the formula bar. And notice how the cursor stayed in that cell. So in the lesson they'll sometimes have you use that check mark. Okay, so now let's say I wanted to add more cells. So I could make more complicated formulas. I could go, and equal, and I could start typing C1 plus D1 plus E1. But a quicker way is to click the cell, and then Excel will fill in the cell reference for you. So here I can click, and I get a C1. Now I have to type the plus sign, then I can click here and type another plus sign, and then click wherever else I want to. Let's say I just wanted to use this one. Now I'm done. So I could just click the little check mark. And there's my formula up here, C1 plus D1 plus G1. Now you can also, of course, do subtraction, multiplication, and division. In Excel, if I want to do a subtraction, let's say I did D1 minus, I use the dash or the hyphen for subtraction. Okay, let's say I want to do minus F1. Okay, if I want to do multiplication, let's say I wanted to multiply 8 times 3 up here, C1, you use the asterisk for multiplication. And for division, you use the /. Okay, so that's basically the simple formulas. That was my dog. But one other thing I wanted to show you that's very important is the order of preference. This is the same order of preference you use in math that you learned probably years ago. It means what is the order, if you had a long mathematical expression, what is the order of doing the operations? And parentheses are always done first. Then any taking something to the power. But then in Excel, multiplication and division are equal, and then addition and subtraction are equal below multiplication and division. So what does this mean? what if I just wrote this formula here? 5 plus 2 times 3. Okay? Now, you might off the top of your head think that's 21, but it's not, because Excel is going to do the multiplication first. 2 times 3 is 6, and then add it to 5. So the answer is actually going to be 11. If I wanted this to come out and for Excel to do the addition first, I would have to put parentheses around that part. Now it would do 5 plus 2 because parentheses are more important, or higher in the precedence. So 7 times 3, it would get 21. So what I'm trying to tell you is when you're doing math in Excel with a formula, it's a very good idea to use parentheses wherever you need them to make sure the results come out as you want them to. Okay? So now in the lesson, they actually don't do very simple formulas. They kind of hit you with some harder formulas. So let's go and take a look at that. I'm going to go over the ones that are in the exercises, and then hopefully this will help you in the exam. So here's the part that they use in the exercises. They have a little spreadsheet here with different items that they're putting for sale, and there's different lines for each item. Now when you're working with this spreadsheet, just think about working with one line at a time, like just looking at this line and ignore this stuff below, because once you create a formula for this line, you can just easily extend it to these other lines. So just pay attention across the line. So the first thing they tell you in this lesson is the retail cost. You want to make a formula for the retail price, and it's going to be the cost times the markup rate plus 1. That's all they tell you. So you would always, as I said before, start with the equal sign. Then they say to take the cost. So I'm just going to click on this number in the cost that's in the same line, B5. And then it says add, multiply times the markup times 1, plus 1. So I want to multiply, which is an asterisk. Now I want to add 1 to this markup rate, but to do that, it's best to use a parentheses for that addition. So I put a parentheses first, then I click up the markup rate, add 1, and close the parentheses. Okay? So remember in your exercise and exam to use the parentheses when you need to do something like that. Now, I would just finish this off by clicking the little check mark. Okay, the next thing they have you do is calculate what they say is the sale price, which is they tell you is the retail price minus the discount. Okay, so they don't really give you much details on the discount, but what they mean by a discount is it would be the retail price times the % off. So the way you would do this is start with your equal sign and take the retail price, which I click here in the same line, and then you want to subtract the discount. So I have a minus sign, but to calculate the discount, I'm going to again use parentheses. So the discount would be the retail price times, so D5 again, the % off, which is in E5, and then close the parentheses. So you see D5 in there twice, but this would be the formula, the retail price minus the discount. So now I'll just hit the check sign because they say to leave the cursor in that cell. So that would be the answer for that one. And then the last formula they have you do is for the profit margin. So I click here, and they say the profit margin is the difference between the sale price and the cost, sale price minus the cost, and then divide it by the sale price. So since I have to do this subtraction, I'm going to start with a parentheses. First I put my equal sign. First thing I'm going to do is subtract my subtraction. So I'll put a parentheses, and I'll do sale price minus cost, which is back over here, in B5, close the parentheses. So that's my difference. Now I divide that / by the sale price, which is this again. Okay, so that would be the answer for that one. So I just click my little check mark and I'm done. So remember, it might be a good idea to take some notes while you're doing the exercises, and so you can remember how you did these a little bit complicated formulas. And then when you get to the exam, they'll have slightly different ones, but very similar. So just, watch your notes and see how you did those, and hopefully you can get through those ones on the exam. Okay, I'll have a second video about the other parts of Excel I wanted to show you.